CM Hechka to spell out to it and Quam to not for singing us in such a good way. I'm really grateful for that. Welcome, Misep Kakwelam, to all legislatures. Thank you for being here tonight. Really happy to see each and every one of you. Happy to have Legislature Squamiah, Melinda Cassidy online. Thank you to staff. So grateful that you're here to support the work that is being presented tonight, and just want to extend a gratitude to your families for sharing you with us, to all our guests as well that are here in person and online. I hope that, we're here on Thursday. I hope the week before was good to you and you're rested a little bit, or at least enough to tackle the work that we've got to do tonight. I always want to extend gratitude for the table blessing, and would like to thank Desiree Gurniak for starting off our meal in a good way. And again to Legislature Terry Splachton and to Quamtanut, Laura Splachton, for drumming us in. It's good to hear sister voices singing together and uniting our hearts together as one. We're so grateful for you sisters to be singing together, Aichka. And to Oshiza Catering for Sumit and his catering group for providing another wonderful meal to nourish our bodies. So today, this marks the 5th meeting of our spring 2020 session. We're progressing. I think that I would like to say that maybe we're about halfway through, or we're at the halfway point. And as with every single meeting, we have a lot of important matters to discuss tonight, and I'm looking forward to hearing your input from each and every one of you. Before we proceed with tonight's agenda, I would like to invite my young relative, Jessica Adams, to start our prayer in a good way. Start our meeting in a good way with a prayer.
Haichka Squeakle and Haichka to our feather runner for carrying us in a good way with the knowledge passed down from our CM Sialachwa. And Haichka to our beautiful drummers and singers for their good medicine. It is so beautiful to hear Spalauktuit and Uquam to not sing together. It was really beautiful and grounding. Haichka CM. Tonight I'll spare everybody my lineage, but the invitation's always open if you guys want to share. But with the knowing of the strong ancestors that stand with me, let us pray. Sitalit to sitsalt siem, ni wel I'd met to not swael, at tsatsat tentemust. We thank you, Creator, for another beautiful day on Mother Earth and for all that we so humbly receive. Haichka for our community, Haichka for the land and waters, for our existence, and for holding us up. Bless the hands of the cooks that place love into the food that feeds and nourishes us, and Haichka to tend to Much for providing. Creator, watch over our leaders. They carry the weight of the nation and spend a lot of time away from their loved ones. Give them clear minds and strong hearts. May what they give, they receive as love, light, and peace. Creator, I pray everyone here takes care of themselves mentally, physically, spiritually, especially after our recent loss. Give them strength, love, and patience. And when this work is done, I pray they return home, they make beautiful memories, and their families can receive their full presence as we do. Look after the ones struggling, Creator. Protect our CM Sialakwa. Guide our young ones. Haichka for the medicines and the spirituality that protects us and keeps us strong. Love, light, and healing to all my relations, north, east, south, and west. Sitsalt CM.
Thank you for your words, Jessica. Thank you for starting us off in a good way. It's one of your greatest gifts to be able to bring words together that are meaningful and supportive, full of love and encouragement, strength and praise. We really are grateful for you to share that opening prayer with us and start us off in a good way. I'd like to say welcome back to our feather runner, Dayton Jacobs Mayo. Thank you for coming back, Dayton. We haven't scared you away yet. You keep coming back and doing an amazing job for us, and we're very grateful. I also want to acknowledge that we've got more youth with us today. They were here doing the photo voice project, and they were here taking some pictures, and it's part of their project, their own version of the census project. So we're very grateful that they were here. Maybe we scared them away. I don't know. But if you see them taking pictures, it's for their photo voice project. So we'd like to encourage that work as well. So now that we're moving forward with our agenda, I would like to remind legislatures that Dayton is here for a reason, and he's got a purpose, and that's to make sure that we take our turns speaking. So please, legislators and staff, wait for the feather before speaking, and pass the feather back to Dayton, the feather runner, when you're done. We really appreciate that. And just a gentle reminder to please put your phones on silent. I'm just gonna walk my talk here, make sure that I'm doing that. There we go. Silent. All right, so for tonight's agenda, we will begin with report number 2 from the Advisory Council on Bill 001-2026, the 2026-2027 Appropriations Act. Then we will have the second reading of Schedule 5, Community Safety and Enforcement. Next, we'll have the second reading of Schedule 9, Member Education, Recreation, and Culture. Lastly, we'll have second reading of Schedule 11, Member Lands and Municipal Services. Are there any questions for tonight's agenda? Wonderful. Thank you, legislatures. We'll get started with the work that we have ahead of us by hearing the report from Advisory Council on Bill 001-2026, the 2026-2027 Appropriations Act. And I'd like to invite Mark DeMello, Director of Finance and Corporate Services, to come up and give that report, please. Mark, welcome back.
Haichka Squeakle CM, Haichka Dayton for the feather, and a massive haichka to the Advisory Council for all the time they put in to review the budget yesterday with us. So we asked that the Tsawwassen Legislature take the following considerations from Advisory Council into account when deliberating Bill 001-2026. So one of the critical functions of Advisory Council is to meet and provide advice to the legislature before the legislature finalizes the Tsawwassen law. This is set out in Section 5.25 of the Constitution and Section 38 of the Government Organization Act. Last night from 5:30 to about 8 o'clock, Advisory Council met to discuss Bill 001-2026. There were 12 members in attendance, including 4 elected members of Advisory Council. Quorum was therefore constituted and a formal meeting was held. Staff gave a summarized version of the presentations on the Appropriations Act that are provided to the legislature at first and second readings. Yesterday we covered schedules 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, so it was definitely a very full evening. Advisory Council submits the following as considerations on the bill. Some members expressed concerns about instances of people walking their dogs off-leash on the boardwalk and along Tsawwassen Drive, which has led to negative interactions between dog owners. There were also concerns of off-leash dogs going into areas where there are medicinal plants and other medicinal teas and other traditional plants that need to be protected. Members would like to see more visible enforcement of leash rules and better protection for sensitive areas on the foreshore. Staff responded that the compliance and enforcement officers do what they can to enforce leash rules. However, enforcement is complaint-based, and so members are encouraged to contact compliance and enforcement whenever they see dogs off leash where they shouldn't be. Staff are looking into having additional signage and other measures to increase protection for plants in the sensitive areas. A member asked about the hours that compliance and enforcement officers work, noted that they were concerned that officers aren't as visible in the community as before they were relocated to their new offices. Staff responded that the officers are working in staggered shifts, they provide coverage outside of business hours, and they do spend most of their time out in the community. A member asked what spaces would be available for weavers in the community now that the former Elder Center was being renovated. Staff responded that once the former Elder Center is renovated to be a health center, there is a plan to convert the trailer that's currently used for health services into a community space that could be used for weaving and other activities. The loom that is currently housed in the former Elder Center can be moved there. A member suggested that the name of the cultural hub be changed to something that is more reflective of Tsawwassen language and culture, and staff agreed that it's important to use a Hunkaminam name, CS Lalem, to reflect the importance of that space and the work that goes on there. So we'll be using hub a lot less than we used to. A member asked if recreation programs for leasehold residents will use TFN facilities and whether this would have an impact on TFN's liability. Staff responded that plans for the coming year includes offering services at the sports field and the youth center, and potentially some drop-in programming with contracted facilities could take place in the rec center. However, staff will need to ensure that it's feasible to schedule this since members and Tsawwassen government have priority for this space. The intent is to charge leasehold residents for these programs on a cost recovery basis so that the program is revenue neutral. Staff are also exploring options for using facilities and amenity buildings in leasehold residential developments. We have confirmed with our insurance providers that this programming is covered under TFN's liability insurance. Participants will need to register and sign waivers, and any contractors and facilitators, contracted facilitators will also be required to have their own liability insurance coverage. A member asked about the effectiveness of the food delivery service as they had concerns about food waste. Staff responded that overall, the program has been quite successful. However, there have been some instances where individuals weren't eating the meals that were provided for a number of different reasons. For example, decreased appetite due to medication changes or the development of an intolerance due to a medical condition. When these instances occur, staff make efforts to coordinate with the client and other support staff to ensure that the client's needs are being met and that they are not being provided meals that they cannot eat. A member expressed concern about food services staff from Events and Recreation Department being asked to provide catering for meetings, as this deprives caterers the opportunity to bid on these contracts. Another member had concerns about burnout among the food services staff. Staff responded that there have been some meetings and small events that were organized on short notice, where TFN's cooking team stepped in to provide food because there wasn't enough time to go through the RFP process. In those instances, costs are billed to the department organizing the event. Events and recreation staff want to ensure that they don't interfere with opportunities for member catering businesses. Staff do recognize that the RFP process for catering can be cumbersome when the time frame is short. We are exploring options for revising the catering process to make it easier to turn bids around more quickly. With regard to workload, the manager of events and recreation has ongoing dialogue with staff about balancing their responsibilities as TFN employees with any outside contract work they may choose to do. A member asked for further clarification about the medical auxiliary program. Staff responded that this program offers support for certain kinds of medical equipment that may not be covered through Pacific Blue Cross and is also used to support travel for medical reasons. Generally, staff will work with a client to determine what can be covered through Blue Cross or other options first, and then assess the need once the other options have been exhausted. There are also some supports for things like in-home equipment through the Aging at Home program, which is in the member housing area of the budget. TFN's health services team have a good relationship with staff at Fraser Health and Pacific Blue Cross, and are able to support members with navigating these processes to find assistance, in addition to providing financial support directly from TFN. A member asked if there is an Indigenous liaison at the Delta Hospital. Staff responded that there are Indigenous liaisons for the Fraser Health region, but each one works with multiple hospitals. It can sometimes be difficult to retain people in these positions as the caseloads are high and there is a significant issue with burnout. For this reason, TFN is looking to provide their own support staff to assist members. A member asked if there are services on lands for TFN members experiencing domestic violence. Staff responded that these services are provided in a separate area at the Child Respite Home, and there is an apartment located off TFN lands that we rent to provide support. Staff are currently looking into grant opportunities to potentially fund the purchase of a home off lands for families experiencing domestic violence. A member asked if there are any supports available for prescription medication coverage if a member has exhausted other options. They also asked if there is a need to increase the budgets for auxiliary support programs to make more assistance available. Staff responded that in addition to the auxiliary medical program, there is a paramedical support program for youth, and there may be other options for support depending on the circumstances. Members are always encouraged to reach out to the health services staff for assistance with any medical concerns, As in addition to sourcing financial supports, staff can also liaise with pharmacists and other medical professionals to explore workaround solutions such as using generic drugs to reduce drug costs. Budgets for auxiliary support programs are set based on expenditures for the previous year. So if we start to see spending increases in these areas, we can go back and look at those budgets accordingly. Members commented on the importance of having access to TFN's family doctor and were concerned about the current doctor's caseload. Staff agreed that having access to a family doctor is extremely important for members, and we are working to try and bring an additional doctor into the community. A member raised concerns about a video they had seen of trees being cut down that were nesting trees for eagles and hawks. The cutting was done as part of the Massey Tunnel replacement project. They asked if TFN had any input on this aspect of the project. Staff noted the concern. We didn't have an answer last night. We will follow up with the Director of Territory Management to provide additional information, and they can do that perhaps when they present their schedule. Several members commented positively about providing members with pre-cut vacuum-packed food fish, as this makes food fish much more accessible to members who might otherwise have difficulty preparing the whole fish themselves. A member asked who has oversight of the Massey Tunnel replacement project. Staff responded that the project is run by the provincial government. Our treaty rights and title team work with the province to ensure that we are consulted, and our economic development team looks for economic opportunities for members as part of that project. A member asked if there has been any archaeological work done as part of the tunnel project. Staff responded that excavation hasn't started yet, but there likely will be an archaeological monitoring process in place in accordance with provincial legislation. And then finally, a member asked if there was a possibility that TFN could name the new tunnel, and staff responded that this is something that our Rights and Titles Department has raised. Conversations are ongoing. We don't have anything final at this point. And Heichka CM, that is the report from AC last night. Heichka.
Heichka, Mark, thank you for that report. Legislators, do you have any points of clarification on the Advisory Council report? Legislator Taylor Baker.
Heichka Dayton for the feather and Heichka Mark for the overview of the Advisory Council meeting last evening. And thank you to the Advisory Council members for all this feedback. I'm hoping staff can maybe provide some more clarity on the medical auxiliary program. I feel like every legislature session we hear some feedback on this program, and I myself have brought forward a resolution a few years ago to amend this program. So are there still constraints on this program for low-income households only, or is that expanded to all members? Because I think that limits a lot of members accessing this program. So just looking for some more info on that. Thank you.
Heichka Legislator Laquia, Crystal, would you like to respond now or during your schedule?
I can respond now or when I present that budget next week on Tuesday. It's up to you, but I guess I can do, I'm here now. Yeah. So it's still, I think, still income tested. So you still have to be low income, but staff do support and figure out a way if families can't afford it. We do try to work with, depending on what the situation is. If it's medication, we'll reach out to the pharmacist. We'll reach out to the doctor to see if there's another medication that we can. We'll exhaust all options, and if not, we'll do our best to try and support it. But if there's any questions, please reach out to Selena, and she can probably give you some more details when we present on Tuesday.
Heichka Laquia. Any other points of clarification on this advisory council report? Legislature Assaltanat, Loretta Williams.
Okay, Heichka for the feather and the opportunity to make some comments. This is just a personal thing in regards to getting reimbursed for eye surgery. And that was thousands of dollars, and I had to pay for it. And I had a difficult time even contacting anybody to get reimbursed. So I just gave up. And, you know, like that's what happened there. But that's just a personal experience. So in regards to the eagle trees been cut down, you know, like it's a sore spot for some people because they value the eagles coming home. And years ago, there used to be about 13 to 16 eagles coming down towards Falcon Way right before the 39 unit was built. And there's a couple of us that tried protecting those trees, but to no avail, because that interfered with the architects and the builders. You know, we couldn't save the trees because of the roots or something. So I think anytime that we could save the trees, I think that'd be so darn important. Okay, so I think that's basically it. There's, you know, like my true concerns about all of this. It's thank you for the report. Thank you for advisory for getting to the grassroots of our people. You know, like you guys are there bringing up the concerns of the Tsawwassen folks, and, you know, you bring it to us, and hopefully we will be able to support all your concerns in the future. Heichka.
Heichka Legislature. Any points of other points of clarification on the report? All right, thank you, legislators. Let's move on to our next item, the second reading of Schedule 5, the Community Safety and Enforcement Schedule of Bill 001, 2026. As we all know, this is the second reading. This is the time for debating the substance of this schedule, asking any questions, any curiosity, making sure that you are fully informed so that when it's time to vote, you feel like you have the right information to vote. I would like to call upon Mark DeMello, Director of Finance and Corporate Services, to present Schedule 5. Mark?
Heichka Squeagle CM, Heichka Dayton for the feather. The Schedule 5 Community Safety and Enforcement Schedule is one that covers policing services, fire services, bylaw enforcement, and animal control. And if you're looking at this, you're probably thinking, what does the Director of Finance have to do with any of it? And it's one that all of the directors share, I guess. So I drew the short straw to present tonight. So our policing services are, and fire services and animal control are all provided through contracts with the City of Delta. Bylaw enforcement is our own. When the Director of Lands Planning presented at the previous meeting, she covered off a bit of the budget to do with the bylaw enforcement team and answered some questions, but we can do that again today if necessary. So our, as I mentioned, Delta covers policing through the Delta Police Department and fire services through the Delta Fire Department. We have our own bylaw team, and there's 4 bylaw enforcement officers on our team. Unlike the Lands Department, we don't have pictures, but maybe that's to come. So the budget is only up marginally for this, and that's because the bulk of the budget, which is for policing services and fire services, We got an estimate from the city of Delta that the budgets would be the same as they were last year, so we've carried those over. The only real increases are in bylaw enforcement, and that's the COLA costs for our staff. So overall, this is a relatively simple budget to present, although the services themselves are obviously very significant and involve many aspects of the community. Hajka Squeakle CM, happy to answer any questions.
Hajka, Mark, not sure which presentation was faster, this one or the taxation one, but legislators, do we have any questions with respect to this schedule? Legislature Pelihua, Don Williams.
Hajka Squeakle, CM Hajka Dayton for the Feather. Just, with the advisory report that we had and going over this, for the enforcement, it was mentioned that a lot of it is complaint-based. Like, how does enforcement follow up when there's complaints made about, dogs off leash and what have you? I mean, it's been years of people complaining about the same thing. And it's dogs, it's their dike, it's people walking. I'd really like to see enforcement out in the community, on bikes, like DPD are on bikes. And we have, a lot of enforcement staff now. I just think they need to be more visible and more out in the community, and especially here at the entrance of the boardwalk. I mean, just to be parked here or out there standing, you'll see different items that have been raised over the years. So just a comment, Hajka.
Hajka Legislature. Any other questions, comments, curiosities with respect to Schedule 5? Legislature Tequila, Bryce Williams.
Hajka Squeakle, Hajka Dayton for the Feather, and Hajka Mark for your presentation. Just curious on the police services and fire services part of the budget. I forget, what types of funding do we acquire for these services? Hajka.
Hajka Legislator Mark.
Hajka Squeakle CM, Hajka Dayton for the Feather, and Hajka for the question, Legislator Tequila. We don't actually get any funding to support us on this, so this is all covered through property taxation. There is a joint agreement where a liaison officer is covered with support from the federal and provincial departments, but this is for boots on the ground, and that's a cost that we bear completely. Hajka Squeakle CM.
Hajka Mark. Legislature Marianne Adams.
Excuse me. Hajka Squeakle CM, and thank you, Dayton, for the feather, and thank you, Advisory Council, for your report, and Mark for this presentation. My question, or mainly concern, is regards to the advisory report on the animal control or bylaw. I know, for an instance, like I would make it a complaint. I feel like I've made quite a few with working in the admin building. I see it quite a bit. And there will be times that the enforcement officers do take a while to come in, that the people walking their dog are basically gone. So what my main question is, how many enforcement officers are working during the regular business hours? Thank you.
Hajka Legislators Comal will take this question.
We have 4 bylaw enforcement officers. They work on staggered shifts. Some of them are available after hours. On any given day during business hours, we have at least 2 officers on shift, and in the evening hours, we have 1.
Heichka Komal, perhaps, thank you, Heichka. Legislature Sultanat, Loretta Williams.
Thank you for the feather. And basically, my question has been answered, but I'm going to ask it again in a different way. Okay, thank you. So we talked about the bylaw officers and their staggered hours. And but how many Delta police people are basically based here on our lands? And are they staggered also, or is it just, and is there a dog patrol also? Okay, thank you.
Heichka Legislature. Laquia, Crystalline, will you please answer that question?
Heichka Squeakle CM and Heichka Dayton for the feather. We have 6 full-time Delta Police liaison officers and 6 TFN ST service team members that are Delta Police, and then 1 liaison officer. And they do have 2 officers in the morning and 2 officers in the evening until midnight, and 7 days a week.
Heichka Crystal. Legislature Kuakwa, Andrea Jacobs.
Heichka Squeakle CM, Heichka Feather Runner for the feather. My question was just asked and answered as well. Follow up to that question, I guess, would be what is our turnover for our officers? What does that look like for working with Delta Police? Do we have a big turnover? Do the officers stay? Like, I'm curious as to what that looks like, and wondering if we can have, I think ever since some of our officers have left, there's a turnover, and we don't know the faces. So I know Cal has been doing a great job in our communications, putting out communications, so it'd be good to see some of those faces and to know who our officers are. Just a comment. So I was just wondering if the turnover was big on that. And then, and then second question, if I could just ask that as well. What is our stats on the policing on our Tawasin community lands, and then the policing on the mall and leaseholder lands? I know there's a lot of instances that I see over at the mall. Just wondering what that looks like for the balance. Heichka, Squeakle CM.
Heichka for the questions, Legislator. I feel like Komal is ready to answer those questions. I think with increased lands too, we have increased responsibilities. So I'm hoping that staff can clarify how our police and our enforcement staff are managing the lands and all of the issues that they come up with. Heichka.
Heichka Squeakle CM. Heichka for the question. I don't have the exact statistics right now, but I'm happy to get them before the session ends. But we do have some process improvements underway as well currently following the development of the implementation plan of the community safety strategy. So currently we have our bylaw team dealing with civil infractions like the flouting of regulations related to business licenses, tree cutting, unauthorized tree cutting, for example. And they do those things which is based on complaints. So as a proportion of their workload, a lot of their tickets are generated from the malls and commons because there's sometimes a lot of unauthorized work going on. People don't have the business licenses, things like this. A lot of the calls are generated from our commercial industrial areas, also from the residential construction. In terms of our fire and safety calls as well, majority of the calls are generated from the commercial areas because of faulty fire alarms, small theft, things like this. So even for the police, a lot of the calls are generated on civil matters from the commercial areas. We're trying to get, as part of that community safety implementation plan, we're trying to get a coordinated one-call system. So there's only one number to call. Our enforcement officers do a lot of outreach. They come to elder center lunches. They meet with the elders. They have knocked on doors and passed around refrigerator magnets on who to call for various things, police or bylaw and all of this. But we're trying to get a one-call system where there's only one number to call for members, and then it gets routed to whoever it needs to go to, police or bylaw. But that's all being developed as part of that overall implementation plan. HKCM.
HKCOMA Legislature Tehuilam, Bryce Williams.
Haichka CM and Haichka Dayton for the Feather. I'm just curious on the process, on our ticketing process, and how successful we are in receiving payments for fines. Just a little update on that, if that's been successful. Haichka.
Haichka Legislature Komal, is that back to you? Haichka Komal.
Haichka CM, Haichka for the feather, and Haichka for the question. Again, I have the exact statistics on the collection, but I don't have them handy right now. But because of the implementation of our new financial systems and different ways in which we accept the ticket payments, we've been far more successful the previous fiscal year than we've been in the past on recovering the tickets. But I'm happy to bring those stats later. Haichka.
Are there any other thoughts swirling in your mind about this schedule, legislatures, that you'd like to have clarified, answered? Thank you, legislators. That was some good discussion. I think there'll be opportunity to expound on some of these thoughts and some of the other schedules as they come forward from the programming perspective. I will now read the motion to move Schedule 5 to third reading and then ask for a mover and a seconder. Motion to move Schedule 5, the Community Safety and Enforcement Schedule of Bill 001-2026 to third reading. Whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature has the authority under Section 512C of the Constitution Act to enact Tsawwassen laws. Whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature under Section 24(2) of the Financial Administration Act must approve the annual budget. And whereas under Section 23 of the Legislature Rules and Procedures Manual 2025, each bill must receive 3 separate readings. And whereas the Legislature resolved on February 10, 2026, that each schedule of Bill 001-2026 be reviewed, debated, and voted on separately during second reading. Therefore, be it moved that the Tsawwassen Legislature move Schedule 5, the Community Safety and Enforcement Schedule, to third reading. May I please have a mover? Moved by Laquolia T. Williams. May I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Legislature Taylor Baker. All in favor? Raise your hands high, please. Legislature Squamish, Melinda Cassidy.
I approve.
Thank you very much, legislators. Thank you. This motion has been carried. Thank you for your hard work on that one. That'll move us to our next schedule, which is Schedule 9, Member Education, Recreation, and Culture. I would like to now invite Laquia Crystalline, Director of Member Services, to present on Schedule 9.
Haichka Squeakquel and Haichka Dayton for the feather. Okay, so this is Member Education, Recreation, and Culture, Schedule 9. Oh, I press the button here. So this is the department structure. So I'm the Director of Member Services. I have Lindsay Frederickson, who is our new Manager of Education. Seamus Munns is our Manager of Recreation Events and Culture. Selena Moore is the Manager of Community and Health Services. And Terry Burnell is the Manager of Family Services. That's all the staff under me directly. So the first area is language and culture. So under language and culture, we have the Longhouse, we have the culture and language programs, we have Siathas Lalem, and we'll change that instead of cultural, there's an F in there, it's supposed to be, I don't know where that came from. The Siathas Lalem Center. And then we have the Indigenous Education Learning from the Learning and Childcare funding, and then we have the PSPP, which is the Post-Secondary Partnership Program. So that department, that structure is, Seamus is the Manager of Recreation, Events, and Culture. And under that is the Supervisor of Language and Culture, and then there's a number of staff under the Supervisor. So this budget is up by about $19,000, and that's really due to CORE in COLA. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same as last year. Oh, and the Longhouse has increased, but otherwise it's pretty much the same as last year. So the Indigenous Early Learning Childcare, the $396,000 for the books and curriculum, that is fully funded by a grant. And that is to develop curriculum based around Tawasin Coast Salish culture and our seasonal calendar, and one of the 12 books that we just published. So that program is 100% funded. Then we have the Cultural Hub, and we'll call it Siathas Lalem, which is the implementation of our Living Tradition strategy, and that's what the OLTS is. And that's $477,000, and that's to implement all of the activities and recommendations in our Living Tradition strategy. Then we have the Post-Secondary Partnership Agreement with SFU, and that's also 100% funded. That really funds the tuition for Simon Fraser University and all the students that are attending that program. And then we have language and culture program workshops, and those are really the workshops that we do over the year. Those are some like the weaving workshops and the beading workshops and the Women Craft and Chat program. So those are all the different workshops that we do throughout the year, and that's $187,000. We did increase the Longhouse budget by $10,000. We did hear from the Longhouse Committee that the $10,000 wasn't enough, so we've doubled that budget. The next budget is education, and within that is the K-12 program, the post-secondary program, and the Early Childhood Education Smiqua Lalem Center. And in that department, Lindsay is the Manager of Education, and she has a number of staff under her, and you can see all the staff there. So this budget is down by $86,000. I think last year we might have hadn't budgeted for one more extra staff, which I think that might have been an error, as Mark tells me. So we're down by that. And that's really all of the staff that are in the previous slide that you've seen, including the daycare staff and the education staff. And then the daycare costs about $13,900 to run with their programs throughout the year. They're small little events that they have. And then the education program is $1.4 million. And then the post-secondary program is $250,000, which will go up because we just, Executive Council is just in the middle of approving increased living allowances. So that will go up in the next little while. It says education new positions. They're really not new positions. They're staff that have moved over from the language and culture department to really focus on revitalizing the language program. And that is one of the recommendations from the grant that we got for the Indigenous early learning. And so they'll be focusing specifically on language. They've already started. They're in the daycare 4 days a week. doing circle time and talking to the students in Hunkaminam, so which is really exciting, and hopefully we'll have some videos to show soon. But it's really cool. The other thing that we're working on is delivering Hunkaminam classes in an elementary school and the high school. So we're just working through that process to see to get the staff certified to teach in schools. And there's some pictures of our fabulous little children in the daycare. So here's the daycare, the $13,900. That's really, we budget $9,000 every year for staff professional development. All of the ECE staff need to have professional development in order to keep their license. So we do provide training for that so they can continue to be licensed in our center. We do little events like yoga, gymnastics, Mike's Critters. We've been doing those every year, year after year. And then we have small little ECE events throughout the year, like the Christmas party and the Mother's Day tea and those types of things. So that's about $13,900. Oh, those are just really what I just talked about. And now we're on to the K-12 program. So this one is up about $5,000, which is not a lot, but this program is, I'll just go through the list there. We have budgeted $610,000, and that's to advocate for student and education assessments, and for the, oh, hold on, there's two. So one's for tuition. Okay, so the top one is for, we have a, we've contracted teachers and EAs from the Delta School District, and that covers the teacher that we have at our site school, the high school that we have upstairs in the youth center, and then we also have 4 EAs and a coordinator to help deploy all of those EAs to the elementary schools that our TFN children attend. And that's to provide additional support on top of the support that they might already receive from the school district, and we're seeing some really great success from that. Then we have education enhancement, which is the tuition for our students that we fund the Delta School District for our students to attend school. And then we have instructional support services, which is $53,000. So that's I think it's about $200 a year that we provide for school supplies. And then we have education grants, and those are all the grants that we have. Like the Child and Youth Grant, the Grad Grant, the Educational Support Grant, the Technology Reimbursement Grant, and that's $114,000. And then we have the grad ceremony, which was $48,000. We kept that the same. I think last year we were able to do it within the $48,000, and I think we can do it again this year. And then the parent meetings is $7,500. And then staff professional development. We've added $5,000 in here again for development, or staff professional development. And right now we have 74 students in Canada, 35 students in the United States. For education assistants, we also work with and do educational assessments, and we do that with the health department. Oh, it also funds the monthly student allowance for the students in grade 7 to grade 12. And I think we've gone over everything else. And here's the grants. It's a bit of a chart. We had 11 students access the grad grants, 32 students accessing the Child and Youth Grant, 78 students accessing the instructional support, 29 students in Canada accessing the school grants from grade 6 to grade 12, and then 7 students in the US. And there's the post-secondary budget. That's the $250,000, and like I was saying, that will likely increase over the next little while, and we'll have to go back to Executive Council because we are just in the middle of approving an increased living allowance. So that'll be coming out soon to everybody once that process is completed. And the post-secondary includes tuition, living allowances, the technology, books and supplies, and grad awards. So this is a little chart on how many students we have. So we have 10 post-secondary students doing their first year of post-secondary. We have 9 students in their second year, 2 students in their third, fourth, and fifth year. I can barely see that, it's quite light. 3 students doing their master's, and 1 student doing their certificate and diploma program. So this is the language revitalization that I did talk about that in the beginning, about the students are the 2 new staff going into the daycare and collaborating with the Delta School District to have Hunkaminam classes in the elementary school and high school. That's really just going through that again. And on to recreation events and culture. So this is another large department. So this recreation events and culture is really comprised of the language and culture department at the Child and Youth Center, all of the events within Tawasin, all of the food services, general recreation for the community, and then the elders program. So Seamus is the manager of recreation events, and he has 4 supervisors under him, 1 for events and food services, 1 for recreation and elders, 1 for the program development coordinator, which is the youth center, and then 1 for language and culture, and a number of series staff under them. So the recreation budget is down by 1%, so I'll just go through it. So the core is really all of the staff within all of those departments. The youth center, the elder center, the recreation programs, and language, except for language and culture, because that's a separate budget. So that is increased mainly due to inflation, and we did ask for, I believe, a staff member. Oh, that's in the rec budget. So that's really due to inflation. And then we have general recreation. That has gone up because we're really trying to streamline all of the recreation programs. And for everybody, for not just for the elders or just for the youth, it's really for everybody. Then the Child and Youth Center services, that's gone down a little bit because we were able to streamline some of those recreation programs. And then same with the elders services, that's gone down. Last year we budgeted an additional $250,000 in that department because we needed to budget for that for the first year of moving into the elder center. We may need to purchase some extra equipment or some supplies for the center, so that has gone down. The events has gone up slightly just due to inflation, and then the food services has gone up a little bit again due to, I think, takeout containers. But yeah, so that's gone up a bit. And then here's general recreation. So there's the recreation reimbursement, which is $110,000, and I think we get a really good uptake in that program as well. The Leisure Pass program, so that's $60,000. That's the same as last year, and that's really for families that are wanting to take their children to the swimming pool in Ladner and accessing any of the leisure centers in Ladner, Tawasin, and also outside of Tawasin land. So members that are living in the Okanagan or outside of Delta can access this program as well. The recreation programs has increased a little bit, and that's just for all of the recreation programs like the yoga and different programs that we do for the multi-generational, I think is what Seamus said last night, programs. So it's for everybody. The snowboarding club has been increased again this year. That has been one of our most successful programs year after year. So we're increasing that. And then something new this year, and what we had talked about, gave you guys a bit of a heads up on, is the leasehold program. So we are budgeted $60,000 in there so that we can provide some recreation programs to the leaseholder residents. And trying to be creative and maybe like, if we can use their amenity building for swimming lessons. And so we're really just trying to be creative and think out of the box with that. I went over all of that. And the next one is the Child and Youth Services. So that one is down in staff. Well, down altogether by 11%, but down generally in staff. We are really trying to streamline again all of the programs. So then, yeah, we still have a couple of empty positions, but we will be filling those. The Youth Center Services Program is down by not quite $40,000, but again, that's due to streamlining programs within the recreation program. The Healthy Habits Program is the same. Those are all the snacks that we provide in the Youth Center. The Impact Program, that program is really to, the youth have created this Impact Program and they want to do fundraising and be able to support other communities by providing an impact on other communities. So they've done, I think they've raised maybe about $700 or $800 last year, and they're looking to continue to raise more funding and make donations to different communities. So they're quite excited about that. Youth Center events is $16,500. It's the same as last year. The outdoor education, again, is the same as last year. I think all of these programs have been pretty stable over the last number of years, and we've been really been able to streamline a lot of them. The one that's up a little bit is the spring and summer camps and the field trips. That's up about $5,000 because inflation, and we tried to keep those kids busy all summer long. And there's, I think this is our last program, which is the Elders program. So here's the Elders program. So last year, oh, okay, so I thought it was $250,000. It was $150,000 last year that we budgeted for the operations of the opening of the new center. We were able to bring that down to $50,000 because we've purchased everything that we need, and we, I think we're all set up in the Elder Center now. And same with the Elders programming, that's down a little bit as well because we've been able to streamline the programs with the recreation and really bringing everything in one department. The Elders retreat is the same as last year, so that there's no difference there. And same with the Elders birthday celebrations, that's up by about $5,000. I think we have a little bit more elders over the age of 55. And then the other difference that you might remember, Sean presented, the elder lawn and snow maintenance has moved over to the lands budget or municipal budget that Sean had talked about. And those are the elders program that I just talked about. Oh, we still have events. This seems like it keeps going on and on. So this is events. The members gathering is the same as last year. So that will, the date, I think the date has been approved again for September 26th weekend this year. So that, we're working hard on planning that. Then the general community events, including National Aboriginal Day and all of the other ones that we have, that one has been increased to $50,000. Treaty Day is the same, Christmas dinner is the same, and the community space upgrades is the same. So all the upgrades that you see in this building, that's what we had taken out of this budget last year, and we put it in again for this year. Food services, this one is up by a little bit. I think I was saying it was up due to the takeout containers. But so the Elder Center food services, that's still the same $100,000. Same with the youth center. So the food services is all under one umbrella and provides these food services for these different departments. Event and programming for food services, $30,000, and then the Meals on Wheels has increased a little bit because we do have an intake or an increase in services in that one. And that's it. Happy to answer any questions.
Hajka Lakwia for those that very in-depth and thorough presentation of all of the areas that fall under the members Schedule 9 member education, recreation, and culture. I'm sure that there's a lot of things that are floating around in your heads legislatures as you're absorbing the many different parts of this schedule. If you could ask your questions in groups of 3, if you have them, that many, just 3 at a time. That gives staff time to record them and respond appropriately and just collect their thoughts. And then we can come back and you can ask another group of questions if you have that many. So I'd now like to open up the floor to legislator questions with respect to Schedule 9. Legislator Taylor Baker.
Heichka Dayton for the feather and Heichka Crystal for the presentation. My first question, I have two. Could you highlight the fees that TFN pays, like educational fees for students attending school? Just curious on that. And my second question, I should have wrote it down, I'm sorry. I gotta think about it, I'm sorry. I'll start with the first one. Heichka, thanks.
Heichka Legislator Crystal.
Heichka Dayton and Heichka for the question. So the fees that TFN funds, the tuition is one of them. It's so the rate is set by the Ministry of Education, and it's about anywhere from, I think this year it was about $12,000 per student for tuition for K to 12. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Legislature Taylor, did you remember your second question?
Heichka Dayton, Heichka Crystal for answering the first question. In terms of the leasehold recreation programming, I'm wondering if in the future TFN is going to be providing bus services. I hear that quite a bit from the non-members in our community and how that would be quite an asset. So have we looked into increasing bus services to include the kiddos not on TFN lands? Heichka.
Heichka Legislature for the question. Crystal, is that you?
Heichka Dayton for the feather and Heichka for the question. We have talked about it. The challenge that we have is our school buses now go to 8 different schools, or maybe, 8 different schools, and trying to, the stops that we already have, picking up all the children on Tawasin lands, like we have a very short window. We could look into it again, definitely, to see if we can increase that, but I think it would be a fee for service, for sure. But I mean, depending on how many students there are, we'd have to take a look at it and do some research around that. But we will. Thank you.
Heichka. Legislature Kwakwia, Andrea Jacobs.
Heichka Squeakle CM, Heichka Dayton for the feather. In regards to the child and youth programs, I'm just curious about how much we're working with other Indigenous nations and organizations on programs with other Indigenous. I know that my son was talking about the surfing program and how successful that was going over there. It's really great, and actually connecting with the nation over there and how awesome that was. And I really like to hear those success stories and really want to build on that. I think it's important to stay connected to our people, whether they be from the island or from here. So that was just a comment on that. So I was just wondering, are we including that in other field trips? I also think it's a great idea to start, I think I said this last time, maybe, include maybe going checking out soccer tournaments. I know Stalis and Musqueam has soccer tournaments and they travel. And I know we have lots of young ones that play soccer and they're in our Delta programs. I would love to see our own programs. Now we got our field going. Sean's made sure that we got all that fixed up. So really utilizing that. And also powwows, there's other ways of doing that. I remember being a young youth, and I think one of my first outings going to a Smokos was with Loretta. So, not just that, but elsewhere. Let's do a field trip checkout. There's a Kamloops too. So lots of ideas. I'm just wondering, wow, where we are with all that. Heichka.
Heichka Legislature. Is Seamus going to answer those questions? Thank you, Seamus.
Heichka Fenrother, Heichka Squeakle TM, Heichka Legislator for the question. Yes, with our youth programs, we've actually had some pretty good success last year. We joined the Indigenous Rookies League, So it was an all ages baseball team. There, we traveled around the region, visiting different nations and participating. And we hosted the inaugural tournament here at TFN and took home the trophy. So that was a big success. We're also working with iSpark, which is Indigenous Sport and Active Recreation Council of BC. Through them, we've actually made contact with the BC Lions, and we're going to be starting a football camp for the youth this year. So we'll be participating in a series of training, and then as well as a big tournament. So that's going to be a good one. The Canoe Club is actually going to be a pretty exciting venture this year. We have some really good interest within the community and a lot of certified paddlers. So we're hoping to participate in the pulling together journey, as well as there are some races that some of the we might be interested in participating in. Soccer, we are trying to get together some teams. We've been working with the South Delta United and Soccer Shots to kind of highlight how we can put together an age bracket team. As soccer, we kind of have to have a certain amount to play in those, but we're definitely working on that. We're kind of nearing the end of soccer season, but in the summer, I believe there's some tournaments out there. And then powwows, I like the idea there, and hopefully we can chat about that more. Hajka, hopefully that answered. Yeah.
Legislature thank you, Seamus. Legislature Sultanat, Loretta Williams.
Thank you for the feather, and he anticipated my questions, I guess. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to acknowledge our elders building. You know, we've had so many compliments on the building, how welcoming it is. You know, like it's really important that we do welcome everybody. And somebody said that all the nations that come, they should come and visit our things. So my suggestion to both you guys here is to invite Natsamat, because we're part of Natsamat. So if we could invite, you know, like them, and I think that would be really important. We're talking about building relations with other First Nations people and make sure the youth people are here. So, but I just wanted to say that I had a lot of compliments about our elders building and how we welcome everybody. And then on that note, so last year we took, well, there's a lot of photos taken of the elders, and it was going to be displayed at our new elders building. So I'm wondering when the time frame is, and I'm thinking we need to identify who we are by putting the photos up. You know, we've got a couple of things up there now, you know, like with, well, with the art that was done, but it would be so nice to have our photos, because, you know, some of our people aren't here anymore, you know, like, so we got to be proud of, you know, the ancestry. So that's my question. When is the timeline for putting, even if it's one, you know, I may start it, put a happy face up or something, but either way. And you're talking about getting the canoe together and going on the pulling together. So my two questions in regards to the canoes is, when is the pulling together and where is it? And with the tribal journeys, I know it would be more difficult for our people to participate in that because it's down in the States, but is that a possibility? With recreation, you know, you guys have done quite a bit, you know, like for the kids, for the youth, and for the general population, and it's really impressive, okay? And I remember going down to the States with two of the young kids at the time, to Lummi, and that was Andrea and Kazoo. Okay, Hajka.
Hajka Legislature Seamus, respond to the tribal journey question.
Hajka Featherrunner, Hajka Squeakquill CM, Hajka Legislator for the question. Yes, we'll start with the photos. So yeah, we've actually, as we moved in, there was a lot of moving parts. So we, unfortunately, that took a little bit of a backseat, but we're working with staff to procure some photo wall tiles where we're able to kind of set them up, but also move them and try and create kind of an area. There's a lot of bits and pieces of the walls that have broken up kind of areas where we could highlight a really good photo section. So we're hoping to put some up before Treaty Day. This year, Treaty Day will be hosting the Elder Center, so that'll be a good chance for people to have a look. And with this system we're going to try out at first, it'll be easy to move pieces around. We have, with the photos that were taken of the elders, we have so many to choose from, so it's always hard to pick a photo for somebody. So hopefully get some feedback during Treaty Day on that. And yes, looking forward to having some smiling faces on the walls for sure. The Pulling Together journey is, we've been asked to be a host nation this year. So we will be hosting a group of paddlers August 19th through 21st. And we're expecting upwards of 500 people to be camping in our sports field and sharing in celebrations. And our journey canoe will be participating in this paddle, and it'll be coming down the Fraser River. And yeah, so we'll be hosting for 3 nights. HK.
Did you have a follow-up, Sultanat?
Okay, thanks for allowing me to have a follow-up question. So we've been in the Elder Center for almost a year. So my question is, are we going to have a 1-year anniversary, a mini feast or something? And maybe that would be the time to invite not so much tribes. Okay, Hajka.
Hajka Legislature. Seamus, would you like to respond in any way?
Hajka Featherrunner, Hajka Squeakquill, Hajka Legislator. Yes, that's a fantastic idea. I'm always ready for a party. So May 30th will be our 1 year. So looking forward to it. Mark it down on your calendars. You heard it here first. That's the day. Yeah, so Treaty Day will be a great celebration in the Elder Center, and yeah, more celebrations, and hopefully we can get Natsamat to come out as well. And yeah, it was really nice having the other elders from the other nations come and visit over the past couple of months. So we hope to continue that with a monthly kind of invite. So, Hajka.
Thank you, Seamus. Legislature Tequila, Bryce Williams.
Hajka Squeakquill CM, Hajka Dayton for the feather, and Hajka to Lochbian for this presentation, and to Seamus for his answers to the questions being asked. The question was already asked around the canoe journey earlier, but just making some points on that. I'm glad to hear that there's more interest in the canoe and going on journeys, and people are becoming certified paddlers and skippers, I would imagine. So that's really great, and yeah, happy to hear that we're going to be hosts for the journey as well. That'll give an opportunity for our youth and members to learn more about the protocols and different things involved when you're on the canoe and when you're on those journeys, and hopefully that sparks interest for more people to be involved. It's a great way to learn to connect to your lands and waters. I've been on the journey, I guess, 1.5 times. I was chief during that time, and it was really great to connect with the people from people over on the island and upriver, and it's something that I'll never forget and hold close to my heart. Learned a lot over learning about protocols and things, and really encourage others to involve themselves as much as they can. So really looking forward to that. I'm curious about canoe races. Has that ever been a thought into getting that back into the community? Maybe purchasing some canoes or learning how to carve those racing canoes or build them. I think that could be something that we could host in the community. There was somebody that recently approached me asking me if we're interested in getting that started, and that was just like a day or two ago, so very early in that process, but just wondering if that's something that we look forward to supporting in the future. Haichka.
Haichka Legislature Lakwia, Crystal?
I can answer the question on carving a canoe and wanting to attend canoe races. And I think Seamus might have some comments for that too. So Andrew and I have been talking recently in the last couple of weeks, which is really weird, maybe it's a coincidence, about carving a canoe and being able to participate in canoe races. So we're in the early talks of that. So stay tuned because we will be reaching out to some potential carvers and people who are interested in doing that. And maybe Seamus can talk about more about the canoe journey and canoe races.
Haichka. Yes, there you go. Thank you. Seamus? You don't have anything to add, Seamus? Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. Legislature Taylor Baker?
Haichka Dayton, and thank you again for the presentation. I am curious on the recreation programming budget. More specifically, like we always hear about the middle age group. So I really like to express like gratitude towards like the increased programming around like, you know, outside of youth and elders in that middle age group. I've heard a lot of really good comments on like golf nights, expanding the snowboarding club to like, you know, more individuals, which is great. A lot of really great feedback around that. Is there any new programs kind of in thought for this next year? I just had a few, you know, really excited members inquiring about like what to expect. And again, just really, really great feedback. So looking forward to seeing what the next year brings.
Haichka Legislature, I think that now Seamus can share his response.
Haichka Featherweather, Haichka Squeakquel, and Haichka Legislator. Yes, it's been something we've been working on for sure, and it's great to see the integration of all generations really, and you know, the elders and the youth have been really great about kind of incorporating some of the adult population into certain programs and kind of expanding on the ones we have, sharing the spaces that we have, the amazing Elder Center and the Youth Center to accommodate group fitness classes. You know, the boxing has shown really good success with our adult population. We also are working on the gym in the Youth Center and creating an access point for adult members to be able to access that gym during specific times, after work hours probably, and we're just working on the access points there and how to do that safely and securely while having it staffed up. But yeah, looking for more input. We've had great success with the golf programs, kind of highlighting the times and kind of the interests of the adult population, just to see where there might be more interest and hone in on those times and building access points. So yeah. Haichka.
Haichka Seamus. Legislature Palichia, Don Williams.
Haichka Squeakquel Sim, Haichka Dayton for the Feather. I was just looking at the Longhouse budget of 10,000 up to 20,000, like that's doubled. I'm just wondering exactly what does that extra funds include? Is it for supplies or what have you? I'm not sure. But in considering that, you know, our daycare, those funds have never changed year after year. They're always quite low. I'm just wondering when we're increasing certain programs or the parts of our budget here, If there's a way to relook at the daycare, maybe there's more events or activities that we can do with the little ones and get their programs boosted a little bit would be nice. Also, for the instructional support, $200 a year. When was the last time that was looked at? I'm just wondering if it's worth a review for at least high school students, maybe to increase that amount. I know depending on what they take for electives, each thing would have different school fees that could get quite costly depending on what that elective is. So if that could be a consideration, Heichka.
Thank you, Legislature.
Heichka Dayton for the feather, Heichka Squeakquel, and Heichka for the questions. So the Longhouse budget is for the opening and the closing of the Longhouse, but also supplies like we're looking at getting some new chafing dishes and some rice cookers and just some general supplies in the kitchen. Yes, looking at the daycare, this year we are replacing the playground in the back, which is quite a costly amount, but we were able to cover that by grants. So we got I think about $300,000 in grants to redo the entire playground in the back. But for programs and services, we'll take a look at that and see what else we can do and boost their programming. So we'll definitely take that back and look at it. It's been quite a while since we've increased the instructional support. I don't remember the exact year, but I can look and figure out when that was. But so even for some of the older students, we do have another grant, and it's called the Mandatory School Grant for those fees. If someone wants to take photography, I think it's about a $300 amount of a grant of $300 that students and families can apply for those extra fees for their specialized classes or whatever they're taking. So there is that as well.
Heichka Blacklia, Legislature Lacolia, Tia Williams.
Heichka Squeakquel Sam and Heichka Dayton for the feather. I only have comments because all of my questions have been asked. The dialogue around the table here is great, you guys. Looking at the recreation events, it makes me really happy to see such strong participation in the recreation reimbursement program. Everyone I talk to utilizes this, and it's awesome to have it just for individual recreation needs. And I'm really excited to hear about the consistent language immersion at Smai Kolelam, and especially for the ability to apply for a certification to teach in the Delta School District. I'm trying to picture that and back in my high school days, and this would have been so excellent to have. So I guess just props to your team.
Oh, CM Heichka. My apologies, Paliquia. I kind of eyeballed you saying, was that enough? And I don't know if you saw me, but you have a follow-up, Legislature Paliquia, Don Williams?
Heichka Squeakquel Sam, Heichka Dayton for the feather. Yeah, just to follow up on the Longhouse. We have an opening and closing every year, and it's a lot of money that goes into these opening and closings, but unfortunately, like the Longhouse is just not used in between that. We don't have other nations coming, and we're not hosting anyone. It's just, I would just like to see it being used. I'd like to hear, you know, the drums going on and people coming in and using it and uplifting our community and our members as well. So just a comment on that, Heichka.
Heichka, for those comments. Yes, the Longhouse is our house, the community's house and our member house, and we're fortunate to have that. So it would be really good to hear those drums beating in there more often. And while we do have programming in there, we have to remember that it's our house too. So we can have our family gatherings and ceremony in there. So we can keep that house full of life, Heichka. I appreciate the comments and compliments about the Elder Center. We had the opportunity to to give Elder Stephen Point a tour of the Elder Center, and it is certainly done with pride that we have for it. And he was in awe and was looking for an opportunity to come back, and we'll be sure to be inviting him back. So your compliments were, and your pride, Legislature of Saltonat, were well received. Thank you so very much. Legislature Spilautuit, Terry Splachton.
Thank you, Feather Runner. Thank you for your presentation. Sorry, excuse me. It's great to see continued investment in camps for our youth. I'm just wondering, as participation and cost increase, are we rotating or introducing new camp options each year to give youth diverse experience? Haichka.
Haichka Legislature. Lakwia? Or Seamus? Seamus, could you please respond to that question from the legislator?
Haichka Featherweather, Haichka Squeakquel, and Haichka Legislator. Yeah, so kind of after every season with the youth camps and different things, we try and get feedback from them and see where the interest is, which ones they favored, why. So we have a few different kind of options happening this year. We've actually had some really good success with the camping and stuff, but what style of camping do they like, durations, things like that. So we've actually procured a bit more of our own camping equipment, our own canoes, kayaks, things of this nature, so we can facilitate our own programming without having to rely on external contracts, as well as we have really good kind of turnout with the free diving and snorkeling programs we have had, and exploring not only our own waters here, but inside the Salish Sea. And so that's been a huge success, and hoping to keep that kind of moving. The surfing is also a big success, so kind of looking in these kind of water-based activities as well is somewhere we're kind of driving towards from the feedback from the youth. So, Haichka.
Haichka Seamus, Legislature Tehuilam, Bryce Williams.
Haichka Squeakquel, CM, Haichka Dayton for the Feather. Just curious about all the programs and services, the different reimbursement programs, the different funds, the different funding sources that we provide to members. I know it's a lot, and it's not going to be just, the question isn't just around your budget, but everybody's, I guess. To see it, I would like to see some sort of full breakdown of the monies that, I guess you could say, each individual can potentially acquire. Not the monies, but maybe the services that are associated with that. I know there's a lot of work to that, but just like a full kind of like breakdown chart of what's available to a youth, or what's available to a middle-aged person or an elder, just to get an idea of what we're spending on each individual, kind of, if you know what I'm saying. I'm not saying like, I don't know, I just want to provide like a greater picture to people of what we actually do provide to people, and I think it's a lot, which I'm very thankful for that we can do, and I'm not saying take away any services or anything like that, but just to give people the bigger picture of what we provide, and just for them to realize how lucky we are to be Tawasin First Nation, and to see that would be great. And I'd also like to see it in some sort of pamphlet form or something like that. I'm not too sure if we have that already, for members to see what's available to them, because there's a whole lot of people that I don't think take advantages of all the services that we provide, and people might miss out and think, hey, I could have got that reimbursed for my child last year, or this and that, and for the breakdown of the programs and services made available. I don't know if you would include the distributions in there to just be seen as another number that's in there as well, to help, that can be utilized to help offset some of those costs that you have as a parent or a member when you are utilizing different programs and services within the community. So I know that's a lot, or that could be a big one. I'm not too sure. I think maybe Mark might be able to put something together. I'm not trying to put the money god to work or anything, but I think he could do that, and that'd be helpful for us as legislators, as leadership, and community members as well, just to realize what's being available to us. Heichka.
Heichka Legislature, I know that there's a lot of work in progress going on for awareness, so that our members are aware of what services we have. And I love your comment about you know, how fortunate we are, and sometimes it's good to see it in paper. Crystal, do you have a response for that?
Heichka Dayton for the feather, Heichka Squeakle CM, and Heichka for the question. We do have a member services guide. We are updating that on a regular basis because things keep changing. But we can definitely take a look at pulling together a breakdown of programs and services that we have for members. That may take a bit of time. So I'm not sure when we can get that back to you, but maybe we can really put some effort into that and figure out what that looks like and present that back to you. But yes, so we will do that.
Heichka, thank you so much, Crystal. Did you want to add to that, Seamus, to that answer? Heichka. All right, Seamus, could you provide a further response?
Heichka Feather, Heichka Squeakle, and Heichka Legislator. Yes, making the community more aware of the programs and services offered. We're very close to launching our Explore Rec software, which will allow us to have create a publication of like a spring leisure guide or a summer leisure guide, and it can kind of encompass all of the programs that are offered. We can have the yearly programs in there, information. So we're hoping to have this done in the next couple months here, and just kind of, yeah, make sure everyone's aware of all the fantastic opportunities, and yeah, Heichka.
Thank you so much, Seamus, for that additional information. Tehuilam Legislature, Tehuilam, did you have a follow-up? Legislature?
Heichka Squeakle CM, Heichka Seamus, Heichka Lakwia. Follow up on that. What was that? Oh, I'm not expecting the full breakdown or response during this session, but maybe something like that can be provided at the upcoming members gathering. I don't know if there's, I know we're dealing the budget here, but maybe some of those topics or issues on what, I don't know, on what we provide might be more sensitive. I'm not sure, but anyways, just a suggestion is maybe an update or something provided at the members gathering. Thank you. That's all.
Heichka, thank you so much, Legislature. I'm sure that some of our new manager of policy might have to do some scoping work to scope out the work and things like that. But our team is always very willing and eager to support that and let us know how much work is involved to respond to us. So thank you for that very much, Legislature. Legislature Sultanate, Loretta William.
Thanks for the feather, and just, it's a follow-up to Tequilam's comment about, you know, like having an updated list of names and people. A few months ago, I needed somebody in lands, and they sent out a pamphlet right around Christmas time. So I was able to go through that pamphlet, find there's a picture of the person I needed to talk to, and I phoned, and I think that was very helpful. So we talked about magnets, or, you know, we have something that we could put on the fridge, you know, like, and because we have so many different people in different departments, and that'd be really good. So I appreciated the lands department doing their photo op and explaining what they did. Okay, thank you.
Heichka, Legislature Sultanate. All right, legislatures. We've had quite some great discussion, as Lakulia had mentioned. Are there any burning questions or curiosities, further information that you need in order to vote? This will be your opportunity to do so. Crystal, would you like to add a little bit of information to your schedule?
Thank you, Haichka. Yes, I would. We have a video for you, so I don't know if you want to
Oh,
watch the
okay.
video before or
Yes.
after you vote.
We'll do it before.
Okay.
Haichka. Why don't you cue that up while I continue to observe our legislators? Oh, you're queued up. All right. Let's do this. Some great memories. Thank you so much for sharing that video. Some great services. All right, then, legislators, are we ready to finalize the schedule? All right. Thank you very much for all of your great questions and all of your comments that you shared. I think I lost a legislator. Motion to move Schedule 9, the Member Education, Recreation, and Culture Schedule, Bill 001, 2026 to third reading. Whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature has the authority under Section 512C of the Constitution Act to enact Tsawwassen laws, and whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature under Section 24(2) of the Financial Administration Act must approve the annual budget, whereas under Section 23 of the Legislature Rules and Procedures Manual 2025, each bill must receive 3 separate readings, and whereas the Legislature resolved on February 10th, 2026, that each schedule of Bill 001, 2026 be reviewed, debated, and voted on separately during second reading. Therefore, be it moved that the Tsawwassen Legislature move Schedule 9, Member Education, Recreation, and Culture Schedule to third reading. May I please have a mover? Moved by Legislature Marianne Adams. May I please have a seconder? Seconded by Legislature Squamish, Laura Cassidy. All in favor, please raise your hands. Legislature Squamish, Melinda Cassidy.
In favor.
Heichka, thank you, legislature. This motion has been carried unanimously. Great work, legislators. Let's take a 15-minute break. Heichka. That was a good break. Thank you, legislatures, for coming back. We have one more schedule to move through today, and that is Schedule 11, Member Lands and Municipal Services of Bill 001, 2026. I would now like to invite Komal Sheikh, Director of Lands, to present most of the schedule, and I'd like to invite Sean Jacobs, Director of Municipal Infrastructure, to also present part of Schedule 11. Who's going first? Oh, Sean, you're going first? All right, Sean.
Haichka, Squeakle CM, Haichka Dayton for the Feather. This is a shared budget between Kamal and I, the Member Lands and Municipal Services budget, Schedule 11. Oh. I skipped it there, but there were some blobs on the screen. So Member Lands and Municipal Services, there's three areas, the community planning and housing, which is on Kamal's side, and then the member facilities, which is on the municipal side. So for the member facilities budget, there's a large increase. There's 140,000 for core, and that's just positions and a temporary contract with the Salisalam Farm, and then COLA. And then on the member facilities operations side, there's a hefty increase of 615,000. Previously it was 160, now it's up to 775,000. Half of that is, if you will recall, on the local government side, what we've done is we've pulled all of the fleet into one budget for the local government fleet. We're doing the same with the member fleet. So we have our education, our recreation, our health, natural resources, all of those fleets have now been pulled into member facilities, and it's all managed by one core function within municipal infrastructure. And then the Salisalam Community Farm, there's a decrease of 100,000. That's on Kamal's side. But for my portion of the budget, there's a lot of new activities that we're seeing here. Some of them are pre-existing. Some of them have come out of other budgets and have moved into this budget. What you'll notice is that I'm using this budget as anything that's member focused that the municipal infrastructure team is delivering. It is the only member focused budget that I currently have. Everything else is on the local government side. So just running through some of these, the actual facilities maintenance and repair has remained the same. It's not changing. We've allocated the 30,000 for Brunswick Point properties. So those are our farm leases that we have within the Brunswick Point properties that we're responsible to maintain as landlords. We have a new activity for emergency management, and this is member-focused emergency management. What we've done in the past is we've had 72-hour grab-and-go bags for individuals and families, so we'll be seeking grants to procure more of those grab-and-go bags so that we can continue to provide those materials to members. And then I mentioned before with the fleet management, it's 350,000. It's not an increase in the budget, it's just reallocation of budget funds. And then the elders lawn maintenance and the elders rental property snow removal. If you recall in Crystal's budget earlier, there was 100,000 for both of those activities. We've moved them into here because they're managed by municipal infrastructure, and we've increased both of them by 25,000. For the lawn maintenance, this is what we're doing is we've developed a new policy to help support staff with the delivery of this, and we haven't had a policy before, and we've been delivering those services through our public works team. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a new policy which allowed members to not only seek support from public works for lawn maintenance activities, but also provide the option to elders if they wanted to procure their own lawn maintenance activities or other garden related activities, then they can do that through the new policy that's set to come out. And And then elder rentals, property snow removal, we continue to do that. And member facility pressure washing, small increase there for member facilities. And then similar to the local government side, we're adding a staining and painting program for member-related facilities and fences. For next coming year, what we're looking at is the restaining of the temporary members park south of the highway. It's a big fence and it needs to be stained every 4 years or so. So that's where most of the expense is going there. And that is it for my side.
Hajka, Sean, thank you. Komal?
Hajka for the Feather Dayton, Hajka Swigel CM. Before I start Schedule 11, I just want to provide the information that I said I would on the bylaw and ticketing and such. So last year, they generated 1,256 files based on complaints. And on following up, 252 tickets were issued and 3/4 of the tickets were paid. So there was an improvement in collection quarter over quarter. And at the end of the year, we had about 3/4 of the tickets paid. And this year, we are implementing the ticketing module and the ability to pay tickets online. So that should see a further improvement in the collections, fine collections as well. On the coverage, the physical coverage of the enforcement officers, we have 2 cars as part of our fleet that is dedicated to bylaw enforcement. And 2 officers start their routes starting from opposite ends of the land so that they don't have to cover a long distance to get to complaints. And patrols also include Douglas College practicum students, the criminology practicum students, and also volunteers. And a number of our complaints on the off-leash dogs, we really hope to see an improvement there with the potential delivery of 2 off-leash dog parks, hopefully by the end of the year. One of them will be in the leasehold residential area down there off Spruce Way, delivered by the executive development group. And then the other park will be a member-only park, part of our beachfront park, and there'll be an off-leash dog area there as well. Hajka Swigel CM, I will now get into Schedule 11. So as part of the Lands Department, there will be changes in the schedule. The teams that live in the schedule are the community planning team, particularly the farm team. In Kevin's team, we have Nikki Lorenz, who's our community project supervisor and leads the farm operations. And our lands and housing team that provides our member housing services. On this chart, I just want to reiterate, the property management team will be moving over to the Helium Collective as of April 1. So coming back to the farm, over the past 3 years that the farm has been in operation, we're following direction from our Honoring Our Ancestors Charter. We're hoping to provide nutritious, culturally relevant, diverse food, healthy foods to our members. And if you see that chart, you can see that the flat line is the initial year 1 where you had the baseline installation costs and the baseline produce. And over the last 3 years, then you see that the investment goes down and the food production goes up. And you also see the absolute numbers there where, we had food production worth $35,000 in year 1 and we have $85,000 in year 3. Just wanted to share that. And then year over year, we have a 25% reduction in the farm budget. And in terms of activities, we've had a lot of successful community programming. We had the canning workshops. We had jars given to members with different produce. Lots of seedlings distributed as well, grant funded. activity, and we also had the installation of raised garden beds where elders request them in their backyards. We had approximately 100 families receiving produce during the food growing season, and then, of course, all of our programming included that produce from the farm. And we had 4 youth working at the farm. It was really great to see Nicole and Nikki and Sarah helping get the youth working on the land and having that sense of pride and ownership working on the lands. And this year we are hoping to get 6 youth working through the summer program. And then speaking of having events in the Longhouse, we had that big gathering. We had about 70 people, and it was a really beautiful event with all of the bounty of the farm showcased in this lovely meal that the community shared together. As you can see, I'll move to the housing budget. This budget has a lot of changes. Although the total budget is down by 3.7%, there's some reallocation and shifting of things. We're working very hard. Janice is here tonight. She's our executive director of the Hale Collective, and much of the year has been spent on the transition of some of our housing functions to the collective. So you see there that there's a reduction in staffing costs, but then there's an increase in the seed funding costs to Hale there. So 3 staff members from the TFN Lands and Housing team and 1 staff person from our Family Services team will be moving to the collective, and they'll be working under Janice's guidance. The Hale collective budget is approved by the board of the collective. The total budget for the next year is approximately $1.2 million. And that's funded through the rental revenues of approximately $675,000. That comes through the rents of the TFN-owned rentals. And then there's the additional seed funding of the $600,000 from TFN to the collective. And then I just wanted to share some highlights from the last year. We had secured a grant from CMHC, allowing members to build their housing stock with the addition of secondary suites. And we had 5 suites, member-owned homes, having that assistance for 5 additional suites in the community housing area. We were able to fund 15 significant home renovations of our member-owned housing stock. And then we were able to also utilize the renovation grants for 9 of our TFN-owned rentals. We were also assisting 4 ongoing member subdivisions and dispersed $1 million in the land development and servicing elements for those subdivisions. And then last year, a highlight was through the urban and rural indigenous funding strategy, the URN funding. We were able to secure funds to help our members of lands to do home renovations, and that's been a long-standing need, and we were able to fulfill that through securing this grant. So 5 off-land home renovations were also funded last year. And then along with that, all of that comes a lot of related policy improvements. So we were able to improve and streamline our site servicing grants. And also our subdivision development regulation is in the process of being amended. Our Property Taxation Act is being amended in following the amendments to the Land Act the previous year. We are also working on our 8 new turnkey duplex project. And we have additional grants secured through CMHC's Housing Accelerator Funds. That's $50,000 per unit. And all of the secondary suite additions were also funded through the CMHC grants that staff secured. And of course, like I said, we've been in transition planning on the collective's implementation. Our board of directors has been established, and we're meeting regularly to establish priorities, setting up proper governance structures that are culturally relevant and rooted in sound best practices, promoting transparency, accountability, and continuing to serve our members in the best way possible. And this is just a slide deck that Janice shared at the legislature workshop. That is the hope of having a detailed workshop with Executive Council, our legislature, with the Hale Collective Board. The board has currently 5 TFN members and 3 external members. We're looking to recruit for an additional member, but we're hoping for a joint governance workshop for our legislature and the Hale Collective Board to establish collective priorities and establish processes that serve our members in the best possible way. So that's to come. Janice is here as well in case there's any questions about the collective. But that's my short and hopefully sweet presentation. Hajka Siyam.
Hajka Komal for your part of the presentation, and Hajka Deshawn for your part of the presentation. I'd now like to open up the floor to legislators that might have any questions about Schedule 11, Member Lands and Municipal Services. Legislators? Legislature Palihuia, Don Williams.
Hajka Squeakle, Sam Hajka Dayton for the Feather. Just a little comment on the emergency management. I was going to say it the other day, but I think it was brought up that there'll be a new staff member joining that department, and I was going to question about those emergency bags. But just maybe a comment if it's worthwhile to have like a workshop or info session for members on, emergency preparedness, etc.
Hajka Legislature. Sean, would you like to respond to that question or comment? Hajka.
Hajka Squeakle, Hajka Dayton for the Feather, and Hajka Palihuia for the comment and question. I think that's a great idea. We haven't really thought about bringing staff to the community in a workshop style to talk about emergency preparedness. So I think that's a great idea. One thing that our current emergency response coordinator is going to be doing is they're going to be planning a visit to the Elder Center to talk to the elders about our emergency management program. And we also have, I believe it's on March 5th, we have a presentation from our emergency response coordinator about where TFN is at with emergency management and the program and kind of the direction we're going and some of the goals that we have. So there will be more coming from our emergency response coordinator, and we do have the position that was mentioned last week. And so, yes, we'll definitely take that away and find some more opportunities to help inform members about preparing for emergencies. Thank you.
Hajka. Legislature Sultanate, Loretta Williams.
Okay, Hajka for the Feather. And just clarity on the off-land renovation projects. So I guess my question is it just for Canada, or is it in BC or in the States, or where are the renovations done? Okay, Hajka.
Hajka Legislature Komal.
Hajka for the Feather Dayton, Hajka Squeakle CM, Hajka for the question. The offlands renovations are funded by, they are federally funded under the URN program, so it's restricted to offlands renovations in Canada at this time. Hajka.
Hajka Komal. Legislature Halkamatia, Louison.
Hajka Squeakle and Hajka for the Feather Dayton. I was just wondering, it was a really good program, the secondary suites, and I know that was funded by external HAF funding program. I'm just wondering if there's going to be additional, because those 5 I imagine are probably done, and it says ongoing, but I'm not too sure. I'm just wondering, it's a really good program, and I was just wondering if there's going to be additional funding obtained for that program, because it's a really good program. Haichka.
Haichka Legislator Como.
Haichka for the feather Dayton, Haichka Squiggle CM, Haichka for the question. Just going to refresh my memory there, but I'm pretty certain, based on our housing needs assessment, that we put in additional funds for the upcoming fiscal as well towards the, this is not going to work. Anyhow, we did put in additional funds for the secondary suite program based on the successful implementation of the 5 additional suites last year. And we have set aside funds for continuing that program. At this time, I understand that we have 2 units in the pipeline, and so the program allocation was $50,000 per unit. So we've put in funds for TFN funded secondary suite renovation program for 2 units in the upcoming fiscal. And that's based on the outreach and the updating the housing needs assessment. Haichka.
Haichka. Legislature Sultanate Loretta Williams.
Thank you for the feather. I'm just going to make a comment. A few years ago, they had a program where people were able to, I think it was from the old DIA, I can't remember what they're called now, but they brought people out for housing to teach them how to repair their own homes. And I'm wondering if that's going to be in the works, you know, like, 'cause sometimes just minor repairs and you don't want to bother people in housing or lands to do it. So is that a program that would be available? Haichka.
Haichka Legislator Como.
Haichka for the feather, Haichka Squiggle CM, Haichka for the question. So as part of the transition to Helium Collective, one of the positions that's been advertised, it's called the Relational Maintenance Supervisor, and what that position does is have that positive relationships with our members, and it's a bit of a mentoring role as well, where we empower members to both tenants as well as having education and outreach to membership at large to undertake small repairs themselves. I wonder if Janice, you want to shed more light on it, but that's part of the education outreach function of the collective and having that approach.
Haichka Como. Any other questions, legislators? All right, legislators, I think either you're satisfied with all the answers or maybe just a little bit tired. But those presentations were pretty thorough and pretty complete. If there are no other questions, I'll move now. Thank you, Komal and Sean, for your presentation and for your responses. I will now read the motion to move Schedule 11, the Member Lands and Municipal Services Schedule of Bill 001-2026 to third reading. Whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature has the authority under Section 512C of the Constitution Act to enact Tsawwassen laws, and whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature under Section 24(2) of the Financial Administration Act must approve the annual budget, and whereas under Section 23 of the Legislature Rules and Procedures Manual 2025, each bill must receive 3 separate readings, and whereas the Legislature resolved on February 10th, 2026, that each schedule of Bill 001-2026 be reviewed, debated, and voted on separately during second reading, therefore be it moved that the Tsawwassen Legislature moves Schedule 11, the Member Lands and Municipal Services Schedule, to third reading. May I please have a mover? Moved by Lacolia Tia Williams, seconded by Legislature Tukwiliam Bryce Williams. All in favor, please raise your hands. Legislature Swamia Melinda Cassidy. Thank you, legislators. The motion has been passed unanimously and carried. Good work, legislators. Good work, staff. That was some really great insights, comments, questions, really good answers, responses, and clarity of the different schedules. So much so that you felt confident to make your vote today. That concludes the formal part of our business for this agenda. I would like to give a final reminder to legislators that the date to introduce legislative resolutions will be Thursday, March 5th. Anyone planning to bring a resolution forward, please connect with staff to prepare your drafts by next Wednesday so that they can be drafted and then made available for everybody to review online, the legislators to be able to review online. Making a little public service announcement here. It has come to all of our collective attention that there are some difficulties as First Nations people is crossing the border. And one of the legislators has shared with me that there is an evening of understanding about your rights at the border through the Jade Treaty on Wednesday, March 4th, 2026 at the Chief Joe Mathias Center from 5 to 9. And it's an information session on the Jade Treaty and understanding your rights while crossing the border with First Nation status. This is organized by Squamish Nation and the BC First Nations Justice Council. So there's a copy of the flyer here. You can take a photo of it if you wish to learn a little bit more about your rights. Or if you are unable to go, I'm sure that you can find that information from other people or on social media. Thank you very much, Jen. So, but thank you for that opportunity and raising that Sultanat. So remember to bring in your resolutions to staff so that they can be uploaded to, so that everyone else can see your resolutions and become familiar with them and have those ready by Wednesday, March 4th, so they can be tabled on Wednesday, on March 5th. I would like to again thank my young relative, Jessica Adams, for starting us off in such a good way, thinking about our wellness and spirit and our minds. Thank you to Desiree for coming to bless our table. Thank you to legislators Spilaktuit and Uquamtanut for drumming us in and who will be drumming us out as well. Thank you, Dayton. We had you hopping tonight. It was a busy schedule. I'd like to take a look at your Fitbit if you have one and see how many steps you got. Oh, none. Well, okay, we'll just have to figure that out manually. But we kept you busy tonight. Thank you for taking good care of us and making sure that we kept our conversation orderly. And thank you to the legislatures for respecting that role as well. It's a very important role, being the feather runner. So we're very grateful. Thank you to Sumit and his catering company for our delicious meal, to the elders that are here, the advisory council members that are here or online, for our members that are present and online, any staff and guests that are there as well. And just another, to be just a little bit redundant, thank you to staff and thank you to your families. It's taking time away from your families, and we really appreciate your support being here and helping us do our work at the legislative table. So thank you so very much, staff. We'll do our processional out as we are drummed out by our relatives and remove our feathers from the mantle. This adjourns our meeting formally. Thank you so much for the privilege and honor of being your squeakle tonight, OCM.